Chapter 17. The Price of Information. The success against ApexBet, though financially rewarding, came with a new kind of pressure. Victor Kroll, a man who prided himself on his analytical prowess, became obsessed. He dedicated a small elite team to tracking the ghost. They called him the Phantom Gambler. They analyzed every pattern, every IP, every subtle shift in betting behavior. They were closing in not on his identity but on his methodology. He's not just betting, Victor explained to his team, pacing in front of a massive data visualization screen. He's playing us. He's manipulating our own systems against us. This isn't about luck. It's about a deep understanding of our infrastructure. Their countermeasures began to appear. New algorithms designed to detect rapid, multi-account betting, enhanced KYC, know your customer protocols, even subtle changes in the API structures to make Rami's script less effective. The game was escalating. The old man felt it. The resistance grew stronger. Some of his decoy accounts were flagged, then frozen. Withdrawal requests became slower, more scrutinized. He had to constantly adapt, creating new layers of anonymity using more obscure cryptocurrencies, and routing his traffic through increasingly complex networks of VPNs and Tor relays. They're learning, Rami observed, a hint of concern in his voice. The cat-and-mouse game is getting faster. Good, the old man replied, his eyes gleaming. A smarter opponent forces you to be smarter. This is where the real game begins. He knew that information was still his ultimate currency. But now the price of that information was rising. He needed deeper access, more intimate knowledge of the bookmaker's internal workings. And for that, he had to take a greater risk. He remembered his past, the women he had used to gain access. Layla, Azra, Seville. He had sworn never to let emotion cloud his judgment again, never to rely on human connection for his schemes. But the digital walls were becoming impenetrable. He needed a human touch. His thoughts turned to Alejandro and the Milonga, the tango community, a network of disparate individuals, many of whom operated in the shadows of society, dealing in information, antiques, or even illicit trades. He had cultivated relationships there, listening, observing, understanding, the unspoken language of trust and exchange. He approached the woman with the heavy gaze and broken French, the one who placed underground bets on polo in Argentina. Her name was Isabel. She had a network of contacts in the dark corners of the financial world, people who moved money across borders with ease, people who knew secrets. He met her in a dimly lit cafe near the Galata Tower. The air was thick with the scent of Turkish coffee and hushed conversations. He didn't offer her money directly. Instead, he offered her a piece of information, a small, verifiable tip about an upcoming polo match, a detail only an insider would know. The tip paid off handsomely for her. "You have a gift," she said, her eyes sharp. "Or a source?" "Both," he replied, a faint smile. "I'm looking for a specific kind of information about the internal workings of large online betting firms, their security protocols, their key personnel, their vulnerabilities." Isabel leaned back, a plume of cigarette smoke curling around her. "That kind of information comes with a price. Not just money. Comes with risk." "I understand risk," he said, his voice flat. "I've paid for it my entire life." She studied him for a long moment, sensing the depth of his conviction. "There's a man," she began, "a former security architect for ApexBet. He was fired recently. Bitter. He knows where the bodies are buried." This was it. The direct line. The human vulnerability he needed. The price, Isabel explained, would be a cut of his future winnings and a promise of anonymity. He agreed without hesitation. The meeting with the ex-security architect, a nervous, gaunt man named Kamal, took place in a secluded park. Kamal was paranoid, constantly looking over his shoulder. He spoke in hushed tones, revealing details about ApexBet's back-end infrastructure, its proprietary algorithms, and, most importantly, the names of the individuals responsible for its security, including Viktor Kroll. "Kroll is the brain," Kemal whispered, his eyes wide. "He's a genius. He built their Ghost Hunter protocol. It's designed to track sophisticated players like you." The old man listened, his mind absorbing every detail. He now had a face to his digital adversary, Viktor Kroll, a chess player. The pieces were falling into place. The revenge, once a vague concept, was now taking on a sharper, more personal edge. He was no longer just fighting a system, he was fighting a man. But the information came with a hidden cost. Isabel, a master manipulator herself, had subtly begun to weave her own threads into his network. She saw his potential, his ruthlessness, and she wanted a piece of it. He felt her subtle probes, her attempts to gain more control, more leverage. The price of information wasn't just money. It was entanglement. And entanglement, he knew, was the first step towards losing control. He had to be careful, very careful.